It's time for more of us to step into our own internal courage and bravery, because humanity needs us pioneering. Humanity needs us creating radical shifts right now, not comfortable shifts, not putting work out into the world that is comfortable, not putting work out into the world that we know people are going to like or that we know people know they need. You're half-assing. You're not doing the work you're meant to do in the world. And you're staying inside a very small box of comfort that you've made for yourself. And there just, I don't believe, is any place in humanity for that right now. This is Leah Steele, aka The Wealth Witch, and this is my podcast. I'm here to activate you to remembrance of your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life. This podcast is for people ready to have controversial conversations about the financial control, manipulation, and tyranny that faces humanity today. I'm gonna live in freedom, freedom. I'm gonna live my destiny. I'm gonna live my freedom, freedom. I'm gonna live, the time is right now. The Wealth Witch. It's for the people who are ready to wake up, deconstruct their wealth programming, and free themselves from the financial slavery consciousness that serves the global financial agenda. I'm committed to realizing a new global wealth paradigm where economic freedom is the reality and where you get to design and live the life of your dreams. Now let's do the damn thing. Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Wealth Witch podcast. I am your host, Leah Steele, the Wealth Witch. And I am a 5/1 projector in human design. So, funny story, I actually recorded a podcast yesterday, about a 26 or 27 minute podcast. And at the end of it, it was for release today. And at the end of it, I deleted it. And I deleted it because it just didn't feel like it didn't feel like what I should be talking about this week, but nothing had really dropped in. And I realized this morning that it was because this is actually the message that needed to come out this week. And I had to personally have my own experience and go through something in order for me to deliver this message to you. So, I know that a lot of you are followers of and students of human design that listen to this podcast. And I know that, some of you are living your own human design experiment. And then I know that some of you are relatively new to this. So I'll just give a little teeny bit of background information history on this. So that you guys can understand fully where I'm coming from. So I'm a 5/1, and my role really is to universalize the message for the masses. My 5 line is my line that enables me to do that and to be a teacher. And my 1 line is the line in my unconscious part of my personality that really drives me towards wisdom and knowledge and knowing of all the things. So this 5/1 profile type, it's here to take a message and then universalize it in a way that the masses can understand it. So I'm really not designed to be a one-to-one teacher or even a one-to-many teacher, though I have been that throughout my career and through the building of my business, obviously. And I still continue to do some of that work. But really what I'm here for is to take the message that I've been given. And I truly believe that that is the message of personal sovereignty and freedom, deconstructing financial slavery consciousness so that we can step into personal power and sovereignty. And, I think that and my message, it drives me with a force that is almost impossible for me to explain. I wake up driven to share the message. I go to sleep driven to share the message. I live a large part of each day formulating and figuring out ways to get the message to the masses. And so that's what this podcast is about. That's what this, everything that I do, really, like it's almost difficult for me to explain. One of the things that I was led to do that really, really drives me is the creation of the emotional resonance clearing modality. And that is a co-creation with my dear friend, Michelle Patrick, who is a doctor of Chinese medicine and a naturopath and an herbologist, who has an incredible depth of wisdom and knowledge around Chinese 5-element theory and the working of the body. And we've developed this modality, emotional resonance clearing. And it's such a powerful tool for radical transformation and growth. And it works by tapping into the organs and meridian systems of the body and clearing stuck and stagnant emotional pathology from those organ and meridian systems. And it dives deeply into current and lifelong patterns that inhibit us from achieving our infinite potential. And I've taken now, Michelle and I have taken 4 rounds of practitioners through our practitioner training. The 4th round actually is just beginning their training, and we have 1 group getting ready to graduate, and we have 2 that have already graduated. And it's really incredible to see this vision of this work getting out into the world. And it's powerful, and it's creating tremendous ripples, and it is not serving my overall mission of universalizing the message for the masses, because that's still a one-to-one transformation that's happening, or in best case scenario, a one-to-many. So one of the things that I've decided to do is begin to facilitate kind of 101 emotional resonance clearing workshops. So these workshops that will enable you as the layperson or member of my community to learn basic clearing inside this modality so that you can begin to facilitate your own transformation, so that you can begin to facilitate your own healing, so that you can start to begin to step into that role of being your own inner healer. And it's really important to me because, again, it's like, this is reaching the masses. This is enabling us to stop searching for everything outside of ourselves. And it occurs to me today that pioneering work in the world is a thankless and difficult role to stay committed to. And I share that because I know that many of you that listen to this podcast are also here to pioneer work in the world. And from my perspective, just to take this back to the 5-1 conversation again, really briefly, the 5 line is also one of the major projection lines. And as a result of that, I have lived my entire life in the, what's the word for it? In the line of fire of people's perceptions and projections. And as a child, I didn't really understand this. And I'm so thankful to my cousin, Alicia Baker, who is an incredible human design teacher. And if you're looking for somebody, she is definitely the person that you want to go to. And I'm not saying that just because she's my cousin. I've worked with some of the top, some of the best of the best. I've taken courses from the founder of human design, and Alicia has such an incredible gift for explaining human design in a way that I believe everyone can understand. So if you're looking for a great human design person, Alicia Baker, I will put some of her contact information in the show notes so that you know how to reach her on the interwebs. But until I really started working in depth with her, I didn't understand the full scope of the projections and perceptions that I was continually dealing with on a or on a daily basis. And I didn't fully realize that my whole entire life, I had been in a state of response to people either projecting all of the best parts of themselves onto me or all of the worst parts of themselves onto me. As a result of this, and that being really actually one of the roles that I'm here to play for people, I am a perfect mirror. It's what makes me such a good coach and mentor and guide, because people can see the best parts of themselves in me. But it also puts me in a position where I can be pedestaled 1 minute and the next minute completely vilified. And I've seen it time and time again with my clients. The beauty of it is that typically after they go from pedestal to vilify, then they eventually at some point, especially if they're doing the work that I'm exposing them to, they come to a place of neutrality and are able to come back into my field and have conversation and dialogue with me about how they pedestaled me and then about how they vilified me. But I'm used to this, I guess, is what I'm saying. I've been dealing with this my whole entire life. And if you're 5'1" line, or you're 5'1" profile type, you're going to have a deep understanding of what I'm talking about right now. You are expected to be all things to all people. And when you aren't able to show up to that very lofty pedestal that people put you on, they get pissed off about it. And when you don't do things the way that they believe that you should do them, it's very difficult for people to stay in relationship with a 5'1" profile type. So if you are a fellow 5'1", my heart goes out to you, and there is such incredible opportunity for you to grow into the role that you're actually here to play on the planet. So this brings me back to if you're here to pioneer, because lots and lots of different profile types are here to pioneer work in this world. And I want you to hear that it's never easy, and it's never been easy for me. You know, I feel like every day I get online and see someone in the online space has copied my branding or is using my words or is, outright ripping off one of my programs. And it has taken a lot to get to this place of non-acceptance acceptance is what I would say. And that phrase of, imitation is the finest form of flattery always is going through my head. And there are times when I have full acceptance of that. And I have times when I'm like, that's bullshit. I work my ass off to pioneer in my field and to set my brand apart and to make myself and my work that I do in the world unique. And it gets frustrating. And my husband will tell you that, about once a month, I have a little mini breakdown where I'm like, I can't even go 4 days without somebody completely copying the work that I'm doing in the world. And it's frustrating. And, I feel unappreciated, and I feel like people don't see me, and I feel like people don't understand how difficult it is to continually be pioneering in the world. And that's just my fucking sob story that I need to get over. And I do, because at the end of the day, we are all connected, and there is no such thing as a truly original idea, especially at a time like right now in humanity, where we are undergoing a radical change. And my belief is that many of us are receiving the same types of information and downloads to help humanity move out of this state of fuckery that it's living in. So instead of, wallowing in my self-pity around my inability to pioneer things because people keep copying me, it actually drives me to keep pioneering. It drives me to pivot. It drives me to shift. It drives me to look at how I can expand to a greater place than the place that I'm currently existing in. It drives me to be better. And so, when people catch up to me, they catch up to where I am. That's my cue that I'm no longer needed in that area. Now it's time for me to move on to something else, to move on to something bigger, to move on to something better, or more expansive, or more in alignment with the work that I'm meant to be doing in the world. But I want you to hear, if you have those types of experiences and you have those types of frustrations like I get, you're not alone. And if you're feeling those feelings, don't bypass them. Don't ignore them. Don't try to love and light your way out of whatever feelings you're having. I allow myself to have a temper tantrum and sit in my little pity party sometimes for half a day. But then it's like, okay, Leah, well, what are you here to do? Are you here to sit here and wallow in, being upset that your work is inspiring people to the point that, they're stepping into it themselves? Or are you going to realize that your work there is now done and it's time for you to move on to something bigger and move on to something better? As pioneers, people rarely understand the work that we do in the world. Because if you're a pioneer, it means you're a visionary. And it means that you can see things in a way that others don't. Don't doubt yourself. When you begin to have visions, and I believe that there are so many more pioneers in the world than people actually pioneering work. And we don't step into the pioneering of the work that we're meant to do in the world because we have a fear around being judged or not being accepted, or people thinking that, our thoughts and ideas are too radical, they're too out there, not believing that anybody would want this vision that we have, not understanding how to bring the vision to fruition. There's lots of reasons why I believe people don't pioneer. But what I will say to you right now is, regardless of all of that stuff, we need you pioneering. We need you sharing your radical and transformative ideas and work with the world right now. And if you put something out there and you fail, so what? For me, I want to fail as quickly as possible. Every time I have a radical idea to pioneer something or something that I believe is going to create radical transformation, I want to get it out into the marketplace as quickly as possible, see if it's viable, see if people respond to it in a way that's going to make it sustainable. And if they don't, I want it to happen as quickly as possible so I can get on to the next idea. That requires a tremendous amount of courage and bravery to do that. And I know that not everybody is built for that, but it's time for more of us to step into our own internal courage and bravery, because humanity needs us pioneering. Humanity needs us creating radical shifts right now, not comfortable shifts, not putting work out into the world that is comfortable, not putting work out into the world that we know people are going to like or that we know people know they need. Because you're half-assing, you're not doing the work you're meant to do in the world, and you are staying inside a very small box of comfort that you've made for yourself. And I don't believe is any place in humanity for that right now. I believe that radical self-responsibility and accountability helps us change the reality of the human race right now. I believe that owning that we all have unique gifts that we're here to share with the world, and then pushing ourselves to share those gifts with the world. I say it all the time, but I'm like, okay, if you met your creator tomorrow, God, source, universe, all that is, whatever it is you see as your creator, if you met your creator tomorrow, if you died and you met your creator tomorrow and your creator asked you, why didn't you pioneer that idea that you had? Why didn't you do the work that you were meant to do in the world? Why didn't you share that vision that you had? I was scared. I thought that my family would judge me. I thought I'd lose friends. I was afraid people would laugh at me. Is that going to be an acceptable answer to your creator for why you didn't do and execute the mission that you came to this planet to execute? Because I know for me, it certainly is not and never will be. And I understand the programming and conditioning that keeps us stuck in states of lack and scarcity and like we're not enough and in fear of pioneering and in fear of sharing our work with the world. It was intentionally designed, the programming and conditioning was intentionally designed to keep you in that place, to keep you from your power, to keep you from visioning the radical transformation that humanity needs right now. And you have to get that shit out of the way. You have to be willing to look at where you're holding yourself back. And that brings me back around beautifully to this workshop that I'm doing in the next couple of weeks, which will be available as an evergreen workshop. So regardless of when you're listening to this, you will be able to have access to it. And we will put the link to get access in the show notes. However, it's happening on the 15th of November. The 14th of November. It is happening on the 14th of November at 10 a.m. Bali time. And in this workshop, I will be teaching you a process from my emotional clearing modality that will help and enable you to begin to clear the stuck and stagnant emotional pathology that keeps you trapped in lack and scarcity, that keeps you from being able to actualize your vision, that keeps you from being able to have the courage and bravery to go out into the world and pioneer the work that you are meant to do. So if that calls to you, I hope that you will join me. It's $222 for the workshop. It'll be 3 to 4 hours, depending upon how many people are in attendance. And again, it'll be available on replay for those that are perhaps listening to this at a later date. And it will be just as powerful on the replay. But if you are listening before, you will have an opportunity to join us live on that call, which is going to be really, really incredible. If you're here and you're listening to this podcast, it's because you are meant to do big things in the world. You wouldn't have found me if you weren't. I literally am a freaking magnet for world changers. And that is why I do the type of work that I do in the world. That's why I do the type of activations that I do. That's why I deliver the type of programs that I deliver, because I am here to lead the leaders. I am here to activate leaders to their divine missions, to the reason that they are here on this planet, and help them deconstruct the programming and conditioning that has been holding them back from realizing that vision and the work that they're meant to do in the world. So if you've come into my field, that's why. And even if in the moment right now, you don't realize what that work is and you aren't sure if you're here to pioneer something in the world, I will tell you, you are, because you wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be listening if you weren't. And I'm here to serve. Like, that is the area that I am here to serve in. I am here to accept all of your projections and perceptions, and be the mirror and hold the mirror up for you to see the very best parts of yourself and the very worst parts of yourself. And to give you the processes and practices to be able to deconstruct those perceptions and those projections so that you can step into beautiful states of neutrality, which then enables you to fulfill your divine mission and do your work in the world. So as always, I appreciate you joining these podcasts and listening to my rants and ravings and ramblings. And I hope that you find tremendous value in these messages. I hope to see you on the self-clearing workshop. Again, information on that in the show notes. And until next time, please remember, it is your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life. And you are so worthy and you are so deserving. So embrace the vision. Go out there and pioneer your work in the world, because there is nobody that can deliver that work the way that you can. That's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to connect with me on social media and reach out. I love hearing from you. And if you want more of me, real, raw, and uncensored, make sure to join the Wealth Witch Telegram channel. It's my free channel where I share all of my random daily musings, as well as the information that I feel like is important and pertinent to my community. We've put a link to the Telegram channel in the show notes, so make sure to come join us over there if that intrigues you. Remember, wealth is a mindset, and you are the most powerful creator in your reality. Until next time, this is the Wealth Witch signing off.
I'm gonna hit the timing.